So yeah, last week's picks not very good. 9-7 picking winners, and we'll just give a participation ribbon for picking against the spread. Yeah, got a couple of weeks left here. Hasn't been the best of seasons. Uh, kind of just waiting to put this one in the rearview mirror, honestly. Kind of like my Bears, I believe. So, nonetheless, got to keep on trucking. Let's talk about my picks for Week 15 of the 2019 NFL season, the Thursday night game. I mean, were you really going to pick anything other than Baltimore with the 17 points? Really? At home, short week, MVP Lamar Jackson. Yeah, it was Baltimore all day long, and I'm sure most everybody would have picked that, even if that spread, that amount, always scares people. It was only 17 points, and the Jets suck. And apparently, Sam Darnold is quickly coming to the realization that Adam Gase sucks, and more power to you, sir. I salute you. Anyways, let's move on to talk about the early slate of Sunday afternoon games. It's on to Cincinnati for the New England Patriots. How about that? After last week's loss to the Kansas City Chiefs, now is the potential time for a get-right game against a Cincinnati Bengals team trying to stake their claim to the number 1 overall pick so they can win the Burrow Bowl in the 2020 NFL Draft. It's funny, ironic. This feels like kind of a turning point potentially for the Patriots in this season. Because where they had been kind of going through and early on in the year, they had been feasting on lesser competition and their defense was playing at a dominant level, but their offense kind of struggling. Now, all of a sudden, the past couple of weeks, they've been bad against Houston. They've been bad against the Chiefs. They really need this get-right game. It is on to Cincinnati. Give me the Patriots minus a 10. The Bucs travel to Detroit to take on the Lions. The Bucs are 4-point favorites on the road, and that feels right every single bit of it. It's always a gamble to pick a road team with Jameis as the quarterback because he could throw 4 touchdowns, he could throw 4 picks, and in some cases he might throw both in the same damn game. Nonetheless, I expect the Bucs to do it here. Give me the Bucs minus the 4. Big time matchup with AFC South implications. The Houston Texans travel to Tennessee to take on the Titans in what should be a really, really good game. You would certainly hope so. When you look at this matchup, you look at the Houston Texans and you say, are they going to be able to get it done on the road? You look at the Tennessee Titans and the turnaround that they've had with Ryan Tannehill manning the quarterback position. Is that going to continue? I like Tennessee in this matchup. Give me the Titans minus the 3. The Broncos can travel to Kansas City to take on the Chiefs. Give me the Chiefs minus the 10. You got the Dolphins traveling to New York to take on the Giants. The Giants are 3-point favorites, which basically is an indication, rightfully so, that they're only getting cred for the home field advantage, and frankly, the 3-point spread almost feels too big. I know the Giants didn't play as poorly Monday night against the Eagles, but let's face it, the Eagles aren't very good this year, either them damn selves. I look for an upset here based off of the odds, although I actually think the Dolphins might indeed be the better team, and they certainly are the better coach team. Give me the Miami Dolphins plus the 3. The Eagles travel to Washington to take on the Redskins. As crazy as it is, the Redskins still potentially have a chance to win the division. As unlikely as it is, as unrealistic as that is, as much as that's not going to happen, the larger part of the matter is it just speaks to how bad the NFC least has been this year. They are terrible. Good God Almighty. But the Eagles come into this game, and it's one of those situations where the Eagles still ultimately control their destiny in the NFC East in the race to win the division, in the race to get a home playoff game. If they win out, they're in. It's that simple. And if you're the Eagles, you got to feel good about that, even though your season hasn't went the way you wanted it to. You win your last 3, and you're in. You don't have to worry about any help. You don't have to worry about anyone or anything else. Just win, baby, as Al Davis would say. Feels like a bit of a danger game for the Eagles, because next week they could be looking ahead to the Dallas Cowboys and thinking that they've got this one in the bag against the Redskins. The Redskins aren't good. They've got a rookie quarterback, got an interim head coach, and all these other things. It's a bit of a danger game for the Eagles, especially with some of the injuries they have, especially with their depleted wide receiving core. It looks like Jordan Howard will be out. I still like the Eagles to win this game because they have more realistically at stake. But this could be a bit of a danger game, a bit of a trap game for them as they look ahead potentially next week to the Cowboys. You got the Seahawks traveling to Carolina to take on the Panthers. Give me the Seahawks minus the 6, although I'm a little concerned based off of how they played Sunday night against the Rams. They need this bounce back game, and I expect them to get it. Shifting over to the late Sunday afternoon games, you got the Jaguars traveling to Oakland to take on the Raiders. That Nick Foles experience went really well, didn't it, Jags fans? Broken collarbone and crappy play. Raiders really need this game if they have any chance at all of staying in the wild card race in the AFC. You look at it and you say you hope, if you're a Raiders fan, that Josh Jacobs is going to play. But really what today is going to be about is about emotion for that Raiders team as they say goodbye to Oakland, their last game there before they move to Las Vegas next year. There's going to be a lot of memories. There's going to be a lot of reminiscing. There's going to be a lot of kind of nostalgia feel to it. And in situations like this, generally teams tend to overperform. So I fully expect the Raiders to win this game. I'd be stunned if they didn't. I wouldn't be surprised if they won this one going away by more than 2 touchdowns. So give me the Raiders minus the 6.5. You got the Browns traveling to Arizona to take on the Cardinals. The battle of the last 2 number 1 overall picks. You might call it the Lincoln Riley Bowl. Baker Mayfield versus Kyler Murray. Yeehaw! The Browns, I guess in theory, have an outside chance of still being able to get into the playoffs, but a lot of things would have to happen, but they have to win this game. Therefore, with the Arizona Cardinals, whereas you're going several weeks back and they were sitting there close to 500 and you're looking at them and you say, you know what, this isn't going so bad. The bottom's kind of fallen out from under them the past couple of weeks. It's really hard with this Browns team to pick them for 1 week to the next because they're so up and down and so goddamn inconsistent. Now you're getting the buzz about Odell Beckham Jr. and whether he wants out. I'll take the Cardinals at home plus the 3 because what the hell, why not? You got the Vikings traveling to Los Angeles to take on the Chargers. The Vikings are 1-point favorites here, which kind of surprises me a little bit. Feels a little disrespectful to the Vikings because A, they're a much better team than the Chargers. B, it's not like the Chargers really have a home field advantage there in LA anyways. That said, this is where the homer stuff, the bias stuff is going to come into the consideration. Because if there is any chance in the world of the Bears making the playoffs, the Vikings have to lose a couple of games, and they need to lose this one today. So give me the Chargers plus the 1, baby. Woo! And let's let it ride. You got the Falcons traveling to San Francisco to take on a 49ers team that's back at the top of their division, and they got to be looking at it and saying, hey, we need to be able to handle our business and win out. They've got a lot at stake. Injuries are a bit of a concern here as they're starting to creep up on them quite a bit. Still, you're talking about the Falcons on the road against that still really, 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 really good 49ers defense. Give me the 49ers minus 11. You've got the Sunday night game. You got the Bills in their first primetime game this year, traveling to Pittsburgh to take on the Steelers. Currently, it's a battle of the 2 AFC wildcard teams. You expect this one to be kind of ugly and maybe a bit boring, but also incredibly intriguing and interesting. This is a big game for both teams. If the Bills win this game, it pretty much assures them, I believe, a playoff spot. For all intents and purposes, it should. And for the Steelers winning this game, especially if the Titans were to lose, but even if the Titans were to win, puts them in a really good spot with 2 weeks left to go. And for all the crap I've given Tomlin over the years for underperforming and underachieving with a talented team, he has taken a lesser team and they have overachieved this year, and I salute him for that. That said, I like the Bills in this matchup. Give me Buffalo plus the 1. Then the Monday night game, you got the Colts traveling to New Orleans to take on the Saints. Give me the Saints minus the 9. You might be sitting there looking at yourself and say, well, he's missed 2 games. Well, why is that? Because I did that intentionally so I could talk about him at the end. First is late Sunday afternoon game, the game that all of us Bears fans are going to care about, tremendously, maybe alongside of the Vikings and the Chargers, has got to be that Rams and Cowboys game. You got the Rams, feel like the past couple of weeks are starting to find themselves. They're getting a little bit of momentum offensively. They're playing a little bit better. And you got the Cowboys, who the Bears just beat the brakes off of last Thursday night. They can't beat winning teams. They've been underwhelming, underachieving, disappointing, which so perfectly represents the past 2.5 decades mostly of Jerry Jones' ownership of the Dallas Cowboys. That said, you look at this, the Rams are only 1-point favorites. This is, to me, where it clearly shows bias because the Rams over the past couple of weeks have shown that they're a much better team than the Cowboys, yet the Cowboys are only 1-point underdogs. As Bears fans, we've got to hope. The Rams are sitting there at 8-5. If there's any chance of sneaking in the back door as a 6th seed in the wild card, the Rams have got to lose 2 of their last 3. This has got to be one of them. So I'm going to pick the Cowboys plus the 1 with absolutely no credible football reason for it, other than the fact of the Bears need the help, which brings me to the Bears and the Packers. The Packers are 4-point favorites at home. Frankly, I'm surprised a little bit that the money hasn't moved a little bit more in the Packers' favor, which gives me an indication that people are starting to believe a little bit in the Bears over the past couple of weeks and what they've seen, maybe a little bit too much perhaps, especially when you look at some of the teams the Bears have played recently. They haven't exactly been great teams. But it looks like Akeem Hicks is going to be back in the lineup, which is a big add, which is a big deal for this Bears defense, because you have seen the impact of him being out of the lineup and what that has meant for the team. Where you're talking about guys like Roquan Smith being out, you really don't feel like it's that great of a loss. You feel like you have other people like Kevin Pierre-Louis on the roster that, at least in the short term, can play to a level where you don't feel like there's that great of an impact, that great of a difference. But Akeem Hicks, the difference was clear. The clear difference was obvious. And when you look at this game, it might sound like hating, but I still don't fully believe in the Packers. I really don't think they're that good. I really don't. And even when you look back to the Week 1 matchup, yeah, the Packers won, but they only won 10-3. And that was because Trubisky was just unbelievably, terribly, god-awful. Awful. The Packers still have plenty to play for here. The division is not locked down by any stretch of the imagination. They're playing for their playoff lives as well. They're playing for the division crown. They're playing for playoff seeding. They're playing for all those things. And the Bears have something to play for, too, because as unrealistic as it might seem, the playoffs are still a possibility. Not a probability, but a possibility. And we might get a very, 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 very good idea of what that picture could potentially look like after today's slate of games. I feel like, and I believe it in the cockles of my soul, that the Bears are ready. The 200th meeting between the Bears and the Packers. They're going to bear down, bitches, all over Lambeau Field. Give me the Bears plus the 4. They're beating them cheesehead asses.